my name is Selena, and I'm here to talk to you about why it is important for adults to have mentors, especially those who are between the ages of 18 and 25. I want to start off with doing a little activity. I want you guys to close your eyes, and I want you to think about when you were 18. I want you to think about who was there when you first got your first apartment. Who was there when you got your first car? Who was there when you were in school and you were stressed out and ready to quit? Who was there to share all the happy moments? Okay, thinking back, I'm sure a lot of you guys have thought about parents, grandparents, relatives, maybe aunts and uncles and cousins. And maybe some of you guys have had mentors. Maybe the mentors were there and during those times of your lives. Think about your mentees. Who do you think they have in their life? In a lot of cases, maybe no one. They just turned 18 and they're pretty much kicked out of the system. And that's especially true for foster youth. Their support system is gone when they turn 18. They're out the door. There's not a lot of support for youth after 18. You're an adult now, and now you have to be out on your own and you're going to be successful. That's a lot to take on. And so part of the reason why mentors are so important is because mentors can be there to support them in any way that they need. So let's face it, everybody's kind of on a different level as far as independence. But a lot of 18-year-olds don't know what they're getting into. They're not that quite independent. They're going to need help finding their first place. They're going to need help finding employment. They're going to need advice. They're going to need people to sit and listen. They're going to need you.
It's hard when you don't have someone to be there for you and to offer you advice and to listen, especially during a transitional period. I'm still in high school, but I know once I go to college that I'm going to really lean on my other support systems a lot, and I can't imagine how it would feel to not have that and have to do it alone. And so I'm really glad that we extended that CASA extended mentorship from 18 to 25, and I can't stress enough how important it is to have a mentor and have someone to offer you a different perspective than you can get from your peers, and maybe someone with a little bit of wisdom to help someone go through this time and help them with apartment hunting or job searching. And even if they don't help them with that specifically, just having someone there for support, I feel is really, really important.
I mean, it's a really vital time. You're just transitioning, you're scared, and you don't know where to go, you don't know who to turn to. And it'd be really great if our 18 to 21 foster youth could turn to CASA mentors to have support and help in any way.
And I would say some of my strongest role models came from the independent living program, in that they would level with me and just be very honest, and they would just like share things about their life and just kind of relate to like those certain situations. There was a particular supporter who she was always talking about like her friends that were like going away to school or that were like graduating from school, and that really sparked like this like interest in me, just because in this area it's very close-minded and it's very much like you go to Cuesta and then you go to Cal Poly, or like you stay in this area forever. And it's very, I feel like it's very socially like the norm here. And as I feel like I can't say it enough, like I just am so interested in just like traveling and seeing things, and a huge part of that just comes from having these people who never told me anything different than that I could.
I entered foster care system when I was 14 and was granted a CASA shortly thereafter. She was there for me during the entire court process with my biological parents and my foster mom for her to be granted legal guardianship. And aside from her role as a supporter during the court process, she was also a mentor for me during that transitional time. And we had coffee every week and talked about my day and my friends and how classes were going. And I feel like I greatly benefited from that. However, when I entered legal guardianship, I no longer had a CASA. And I feel like I personally am okay with this because I have a lot of extra support around me, and I'm blessed to have biological family members to help me out and have a really good relationship with my foster mom. But a lot of kids don't.
I had been given really great role models, and a lot of the people that were those role models for me, I'd say that the common factor in all of them was that they were all very honest. They're all very real, and they never really sugar-coated things for me. They're always just like, I remember on my 18th birthday, one of them said, like, you're 18 now, you go to the big girl jail. If you that kind of thing. And I just remember that really sticking because the person who shared that with me had spent the past 3 years working with me on 4 days a week, and I just felt really connected to her, and I felt like I could always be honest with her. And so just some of the best advice that she gave me was from just experiences of a friend of hers and her personal life, and that a lot of what kind of came out of that as my character is that these people shared real life experiences with me, not one day someone's gonna offer you drugs, that sort of thing, but it was just naturally, if you make those choices, you're not gonna reach your goals. And I remember this particular mentor she was like, I'm not worried about you. Instead of saying this could happen to you, or making it sound just like she thought I was going to do that, she turned things around in just the way that she presented it, and that I know that this isn't going to be a problem. I know, and just putting faith into her sentences and just the way that she would communicate with me was very empowering. And that's another thing that I've just seen in so many of the people who've been a huge part of my life, is that they always empowered me to be my own person and to make my own choices. It was always really hard for me to connect with someone who would come into a situation like they were entitled to have that place in my life. And that because it's my role to be this person in your life, I get that. And that your role as my social worker, it might be your role as my advocate, it might be your role, whatever. You volunteered for it, you get paid to do it, whatever brought you to this role, but by no means is anyone ever entitled to any place in anyone's life, ever. And so that is something that took me years to figure out, why I had such a hard time connecting with people, and why I had such a hard time opening up, is that my whole life, all these people kind of just force themselves into my life, and no one ever tried to earn that, which is a completely different experience, because if someone earns your trust, then that's something that you give to them, and they don't try to take it. So naturally, it's going to open up something, an entirely different relationship and an entirely different experience than it would if you come into that and saying, I'm here to be your friend, now let's share secrets. By share, I mean I just want to hear yours. And it's an entirely different experience.
So I know building connections with youth is not always easy. My best advice is being consistent. You work with a lot of youth who have experienced a lot of trauma, and they have come to a life where they're not very trusting. They've built a barbed wire fence around themselves to avoid any further hurt. And they're not interested in people who are not ready to commit and be there. Consistency is the answer. So you might have a youth that is very difficult and not ready to talk in your first few meetings maybe. But showing up and being there is the first step to consistency. It is the first step of showing that you care. And some people are on a different time frame. They might take a little more time to warm up to you or to feel comfortable in sharing stuff with you. So the number one thing for youth, and more so foster youth, is consistency. They've lived a life where there's a lot of trauma and instability, and that's something that they want. But so far in their life, they have not had the opportunity to experience. The second thing is being non-judgmental. Being open-minded and meeting the youth where they're at is going to be the second most important thing that you can do as a mentor. A lot of youth have been told time and time again that they can't do what they want to do, that they can't go to college, that they can't become a doctor, that they are not going to be successful. And so it's very important to empower them and support them in their decisions, and for them to know that you're there to support them in any way that they want.
Me in survival, like panic mode, I'm like way over here, and there's just no way that I'm going to come back over here unless I feel safe and comfortable. And I'm not going to be able to focus on my homework with you. I'm not going to be able to have a real conversation with you if I feel like you feel like you're entitled, if I feel like you aren't looking at the deeper issue that I'm dealing with, and if I feel like I'm not safe to tell you that. And that was a huge thing, is that I wish that I would have felt comfortable enough to be able to say, hey, I feel like if I open up about this, it's going to be some judgment. Like, let's just work through that. And when in reality, I feel like as an adult now looking back on it, I feel like I could have told her anything and she would have been so understanding. But just in that place of like little adolescent Julia that was just really hurt and wounded, there's no way that I could have seen beyond that. It's different for everyone, and to just really be open and to give that opportunity to set up what role they would like you to start off at and what they want to talk about. And with everything in me that there was a set of questions that I could give you that would unlock all the answers, but there's just not. I would just say that it would just help to start kind of at the beginning, even just kind of before, like, are you depressed? Like, are you developing an eating disorder? Are you cutting? Are you, like, cutting out your friends of your life? What does that look like? Kind of back to that place of, do you feel supported? Do you feel like your needs are being met? Do you feel safe and comfortable being who you are? If you don't know who you are, if just like those basic human needs of feeling comfortable and safe, chances are if those needs aren't being met, everything else, those behaviors and everything else kind of comes out of that place. And so I guess that I would just start in the place of, do you feel supported? And do you feel like your needs are being met? And then kind of out of that place, just being very upfront and just saying, how can I support you? Like, what do you need? And just asking.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a CASA mentor and for offering your services in any way that you can. Because like I said, I was there one day and it was a scary feeling, and you don't want to go through that alone. So thank you for being that person to make sure that we don't have to go through that alone.